Hi, and thank you so much for watching. And in my last video, and I'm Z, in my last video, I showed you, the image that I was going to be working on and how I came up with this particular image and how to make adjustments on it. And for this one, I'm going to tell you, because I can't do two things at once, is that I am going to be showing you how, what you can do to make this. You notice that that this is, the mat board was dark. However, mat boards are usually got lots of, got several layers, not lots of layers of paper on it. And what you can do when you're, working on it is to cut out the certain areas. As you can see here, I'm not done yet. I've spent a bit of time. And how you do that is you will be using something like a utility knife. And let me see if I can, which is like this. And you'll notice that it has a pointed edge. The blade on this is actually, I believe it's an 11 blade, but you can get blades, fairly cheap, because they sell them as replacement blades, and you can get them for, basically less than $10. I don't know what the European equivalent is, but they're reasonably priced. And these utility knives, the most common brand is the X-Acto, but it doesn't matter which one. You just want one that serves the purpose that you want, because the blades can slide in and out. You just want to make sure that when you start any project like this, to use a sharp blade. A reason why you want to use this sharp blade is, one, it will cut the layers down below to the top area. And the reason why you want that is because when you're doing, smaller areas like this, you want to make sure that the corners are cut, because you basically will cut like you're doing an outline, and you're going to pop it up. And if you don't have your corners cut where the headlines meet, it's hard to get, the area that you want cut. You also want to cut, instead of going from, the blade towards the edge, you want it going the other way. A 45 degree angle is best, but you can even get by with just doing a straight up and down. The reason why you don't want to go towards the area is that you'll go underneath and it'll pop loose. Let's see, and I've done it, because if you take a look here, let's see if I can, some of the areas here, like, see how this is up? That's where I cut the wrong way. I'm gonna work on fixing that later, but basically, that's the way you want to cut, so that's away. And you notice that there's a lot of white area around here. You also want to cut towards the outside edge. The reason being is that if you cut towards the inside edge, you're not going to get the direction you want. And so I also recommend cutting larger spaces to smaller spaces. And what you can do, if you have a hard time with it pulling away, because this is so sharp, you can slice it thinly, like you're slicing bread. It's just basically a simple slice. and it'll slide. You don't necessarily have to worry about how even it gets, because if you look here, you see those sharp edges? I didn't pay attention to how evenly I cut, but unless you're, something that's a particular import, you don't have to worry about it. I also do not recommend that this be used for younger children. I would say people that are, in high school and older, because they're usually mature and can manage things better. Soft, a sharp blade, and I'm probably going to repeat myself. If you got a sharp blade, you want to get the corners done well, and you also don't want to cut yourself. So you want to keep the cutting blade away from soft tissue. Blood is not good. And so because I was, I'm still working things out, I decided I wanted to try a few things on the white area, because you notice that it appears very graphic, and you can definitely see that there is texture there. And I was looking to see what you could do for the lower portion. So so one of the things that I used was this. Drew it with a pen mark, and because this lower area doesn't have sizing, you have to be careful because it bleeds. Additionally, what I was doing was I was also seeing how watercolor reacts to it. In fact, I actually have some, so let's just go ahead. And see how it works. So it's going to take me a little doing. So basically, you can, use watercolor on it. You can get it to spread out. You can get it to spread out fairly easy. As far as the cut areas, that is actually, when you put the watercolor on, you will see it. And like if you ever do watercolors, if you cut into it, it usually shows up as a darker mark when it dries. In this case, it may or may not. I've tried it a couple times and it has not shown up really like a typical watercolor. This pencil area, I did a smiley face to see, if you can get smudge marks, because sometimes when you blend, it's middle it's middle. You see that it really hasn't smudged that much. And right here, I was doing some layering, and this has got at least 3 layers. So the bottom layer I did was a pink colored pencil. Then I put a light one on top and a purple one to see how it works. This right here is when I did Graphitin, so I haven't checked to see how it works, but let's see how it works. So I'm gonna, it's not doing much, but it does a little bit. So because I'm doing, like I said, since this part is kind of experimental, and I was looking to see what it was doing. So like I said, I've been working on this for a little over a week now, and since I'm trying to see what it does or doesn't do, be experimental. However, what I have done, because if you're trying new material and all, you may want to take notes, and these are some of my notes of what I figured out when working on this. So if you're going to be working on an image or trying to do something that you either aren't that familiar with, never done before, it's a good idea to take some notes. The reason being is that you may be able to use those notes for something else in the future. And since we as human beings do forget certain things, taking notes is important. So you want to make sure you have the information that you can use to get there. So I thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was useful, because like I said, I like how graphic it is. I like the details on it because this is more what I want. However, if this is the first time, I would advise you to stick to bigger shapes and bigger forms, because this little stuff takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. Because like I said, based upon the amount of time I've spent on this, it's not going to be quick. So again, I hope that this is useful, and this is something new that you may not have ever used before. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a great day.